Right, so welcome back to the Bach and Arthur podcast, everybody. We're here today for episode 3.
Hello.
Woo. Today we are going to speak about change, sharks, science, speed of light, speed of sound. We've got a moral dilemma and a bit of submission time.
Mm-hmm.
But first up, let's speak about change.
Oh, no.
No,
No, thanks. I don't want to. Let's carry on with what we were talking about.
Because this is the first episode that we've recorded since the first episode was published.
Oh, yeah, because episode 2's not out yet.
We filmed episode 2 shortly after episode 1 and they took a while. So we've got some in the bank. And we've basically seen all the comments about the set. Seems like everyone loves it. But you get some people that go like, you know what? I don't like change that much.
Yeah.
It's going to take some getting used to.
Yeah, they don't like that we're not touching knees.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get to the point.
That's true.
They want us both sat on this sofa. It's not going to happen.
It's going to happen. We are going to get guests on the podcast. And when we do, we're going to be both sat on that sofa.
Oh, good luck coming sitting over here, pal.
That's enticing me more. It really is.
Your throne is waiting. Oh, wait.
Oh, just turn from a king to a queen.
Oh, gross. No, but it's true. Like when you, I think it's a common thing when you change set or like a show upgrades, people aren't as warm to it to begin with because it takes some getting used to.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
I think as well, like, although this is so cool and I love the set, there's like almost like the low budget feel. There's almost like a coziness about just having like one sofa, a plant behind you, and then a curtain.
Yeah. People, you know what? People are just going to start hating us now because we're not relatable anymore. We're on a spaceship.
Yeah, true.
It happened when I moved out of my parents' house and started recording in the new office. People hated the new background. They was like, I really missed the old background. And I was seeing edits on TikTok of like the old background.
No.
And then I was like, you know what? I might just put up I messaged Cal, my editor. I was like, do you think we just put up a green screen behind me and just green screen my parents'
the old one?
Yeah, room. Not parents' room, my bedroom in my parents' house, just because it keeps things the same. But we decided against it eventually. He was like, I like the new backdrop. I think people get used to it eventually, and they do.
Yeah.
But I also get comments now where people are like, oh, it doesn't feel as nice anymore because I was gatekeeping you, but I feel like I can't gatekeep you as much because as anyone grows.
Oh, you mean the podcast?
In podcast and my own channel, like as we've grown, they're like, oh, this feels less like a secret person I watch and more like people know, more people watch you, so it's not as homely anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
people don't tend to like it when you go, like, as you grow.
I think that's part of the attraction to the Patreon stuff where people get like early access. There's the chat that we pop in and say hi to from time to time. We do like the Patreon exclusive episodes. Like it kind of allows you to keep feeling like you're part of a really small community. Yeah. But even that's growing. And at some point, I mean, at the moment we're like
1 billion subscribers.
We're going like, oh, we actually need moderators for the chats now because, you know, we can't keep track of all the messages that come in. We have to manage, you know, more of an official schedule because, you know, there's a lot more people with the expectations and stuff. And yeah, I do know what you mean. There is that sort of like losing the coziness.
How do you feel about change in general?
I don't naturally like it very much.
No.
I don't like it when my plans change. I like keeping
things the same.
Keeping things the same because I know what to expect.
So do you don't like a break from schedule? Like say holiday, does it stress you out going on holiday because you've broken schedule?
A little bit.
Routine, sorry.
A little bit breaking out the routine. Like I love the feeling at the end of a holiday where I'm like, I'm really ready to get back. Yeah. So like when we went on the skiing holiday, after like as fun as it is and stuff, after 5 or 6 days, I'm like, I'm looking forward to being sober, waking up feeling fresh, going to the gym, eating well, like getting my work done, uploading videos again. Yeah. Although obviously like now I'm uploading basically every other day on the channel. I'm doing what you do where like before I go away, I used to just be like, I'm not going to upload for a week. Now I bulk film.
Yeah. That's a pain, bulk filming.
Yeah.
Do you change outfits when you bulk film?
No. Do you?
Sometimes. It depends what mood I wake up in. Some days I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm going heavy for the like YouTube psychology route where I'm like, I'm putting on a red t-shirt for the thumbnail. I'm doing it. And other days I'm like, no, I don't care. I'm just gonna film. But most of the time I don't change t-shirt or anything. I just sit there and bulk film.
You'd wear a red t-shirt for the thumbnail?
Yeah. Because I'll picture what the thumbnail will look like. So if it's going to be like a blue backdrop, I'll put on a red t-shirt. If it's going to be a different backdrop, I might put a blue t-shirt on.
Very clever. I just have...
Well, you can change
I have like 4 photos of me in a green sweatshirt that I just use on every single thumbnail.
Oh, do you actually?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Have you looked at like how that like CTR and stuff and whether it
not
changes
too different because I guess like Mr. Beast used to do it and it's sort of like you have your face there for recognition and then the topic, and obviously as long as the thumbnail itself is changing, like realistically, if I'm going like that and pulling a like confused face, it doesn't really matter if I change that much because people are only looking at that to go, that's Arthur. And then this is what he's reacting to. And the other thing is the thing that's changing. And that's when people are deciding whether to watch it or not based on like how novel it is. Like there's no, realistically, there's no psychology thing for them to go, Arthur's wearing a different t-shirt other than the color thing.
I always worry that someone will think, oh, that's a video I've already watched because the face is the same.
But they do read the title and see the rest of the thumbnail.
But I actually uploaded something recently and I had like a bunch of comments were like, oh, you've already uploaded this, we've seen this. I've never uploaded it before.
I think it's when we have crossover because I did an Am I Overreacting video about 2 weeks after Cam Kirkham did, and we covered the exact same thing.
Right.
And do you get sometimes like quite harsh comments being like, I got one that was like, honestly, mate, really disappointed that you're just recycling and re-uploading old videos. I came here expecting a new one. And I was like, I've never done it. I've never done this before. And that was when I was like, oh, I need to look into this. And I looked through one of the comment threads and someone was like, Cam did this story 2 weeks ago. And I looked and sure enough, there it was.
Okay. People do get things mixed up quite a lot on YouTube. This kind of related, kind of unrelated. I saw there's like a comment like on one of the Sidemen's charity match announcements. And I saw one of the comments was like, oh, just waiting on Bach and Arthur. And I looked at the reply was, oh, they've already been invited. They went on their podcast. Arthur is the manager and Bach has been asked to play. And they were like, this is Chip and Freezy. And the guy was like, no, it wasn't. I remember specifically being their pod.
No way.
And I was thinking, how can you... It's so interesting how you can remember it in a complete different way.
Yeah.
To what it actually was.
Wow.
Because also, I would have thought that I would have got confused with Chip, but they thought you were the... Chip got asked to be the manager. They said Arthur was manager and
that's really weird.
Really strange.
We should do an episode at some point on memory because the way it works, I was watching, it was just like a short clip the other day from like a Cambridge University, I think they were a PhD student, like researching memory.
Yeah.
And when they were talking about it, I was like, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it is really interesting how it works.
How you store things. I've got really bad memory.
But yeah, no, I think this episode will be out probably a couple of days before the Simon charity match.
I remember.
But yeah, unfortunately, we've not been asked.
We won't be.
No,
we won't be.
No.
But I have been looking at all of the announcements, and to be fair, in the comment section, there always seems to be some sort of call out for us, which is nice.
Yeah, it's nice. I think it's because like we're involved, but on like I feel like we've done a lot of the like Simon-y stuff over the past year.
Yeah.
But like it's such a big event. They just do go for such big names.
Yeah.
That, like they're going, like we're up against streamers with like 5-10 million subscribers on YouTube and Twitch is their main platform.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah. I wonder where it'll end up as well. Cause I wonder if it goes down like the Soccer Aid route of getting in ex-pros, and once it hits that sort of level, we ain't never getting in that.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. Like, do they go... Because obviously, like, a lot of the Sidemen fans, I do feel like, seem to want people they know more. Like, when I see in the comment sections of, like, someone will be like, oh, let's turn this into a Legends match, get all these, like, ex-pros and stuff. And people are like, no, I kind of do want to see the people that I'm watching on Sidemen Sunday every week and stuff like that. So... Yeah,
I personally am with them. I love to watch, like, all the YouTubers play football.
Yeah, me too.
It's just... more entertaining when people aren't like great footballers.
Yeah.
But if they go down the Soccer Aid route, then we bring out the Bach and Arthur charity match and we just put TikTokers against each other.
Yeah. That's happening loads at the moment though, isn't it? Like we did the Ilkeston charity match last year.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like because you can kind of get a football field in the middle of nowhere somewhat simply, like it doesn't take that much to organize it and stick a bunch of teams together.
Yeah.
So many people are doing it. And now I get a message every couple of days like, do you want to play in our charity match?
Yeah, they are fun. They are fun.
And I'm holding out. I feel like it's like,
oh no, guys, I'm holding out for the Sidemen.
It's like waiting for your crush to ask you out to prom. And then,
just waiting for my call up.
And then it's prom night, you're there in your suit and you're like, guys.
Should we just FaceTime Harry and just sort of just sit there and be like, hey?
Yeah. Yeah, hey, what are you calling for? Not much, just
Nothing, how you doing? Just chilling.
We're just watching our favourite football team, Manchester United, play. Right now, we love football, by the way. No,
We've just got the Sidemen shirts on because we bought them from Adidas. And we're just sat there like, we're doing nothing.
Yeah.
We're actually really free for a while.
We've both been running lately, so we're really fit. Oh, God, we love football. I actually did a video with JCC the other day and got the highest rated FIFA card on YouTube right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sick. Wait, and who else was in the video?
So Harry's done it, Chris has done it, George
Chris has done it,
Bez has done it.
I mean, and you got a higher rating than Chris.
The like weighting's obviously quite funny because like the challenges aren't like, it's not just a pure shot test or a passing test and stuff. But yeah, I ended up with the highest aggregate score. I've got a 73 card now. So
wait, 73?
I think Bez's second was 72.
What? That's your score, 70.
That's 73? The like overall card. Yeah.
Because are they putting that against like pros? I guess that makes sense rather than giving you like 99.
Yeah, well, because like the way that they do the scoring, like, you know, we'll take a bunch of shots and every goal you score will be 10. And like, so you score like 5 of the shots out of 10 or whatever.
What is the highest that you can get then? Like if you
could get 99 and everything.
Perfect session is 99.
Yeah.
So what's Chris? Do you know what his rating is or not?
I think he was a 71.
Wow.
But I haven't watched his video, so I don't know what he did. Like,
Chris, you suck.
Like one of them for the physicality was like hanging off a bar.
Oh, right.
And so like, it was because I got a certain number of questions right, didn't get pelted with balls and was hanging off the bar for like a long time that I ended up with like the high physicality score.
Yeah. I haven't seen football do that.
No.
Yet.
But I do think the way EA does FIFA cards is quite strange because sometimes you're like, this player is rapid. Why have they got 70 sprints?
Yeah, it does feel a bit random.
Just because they're slightly younger or something.
I think giving a numerical score to something like that is futile. And I think this with food reviews. When someone gives a 9.6, what is the difference between 9.6 and 9.5? You're just deciding that.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason that is a 9.6 and not a 9.5 in your brain. You're just like, no, I'm going to go with 9.6.
That's something, yeah, that's so true.
It really frustrates me.
I get it when people can rate scores out of like maybe like 10 or 5 and then it's like, oh, the average score is an 8.4 because then you know like there is a difference between that and an 8.1 because aggregate maybe there are more 9s than 8s. But yeah, when it's that arbitrary.
Because I watch someone eating mac and cheese and be like, oh, that's an 8.1 for me. And I'm like, why is it an 8.1 and not an 8.2 or an 8?
And those amount of differences will like, there'll be a massive factor of like how recently you've eaten, how hungry you are, what your blood sugar's like are you hungover, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. No, I get the same. When I did the video with Chip in Canada and we were rating all the places, we were rating things out of 3. And there were loads of comments like, why the fuck
you rating it out of 3?
But it's the same thing when you're going like luxury, realistically, and we were doing 0.5, so it was basically a 6-point scale.
What? You're doing? Oh, we're going to be rating things out of 6, but disguise it as we're rating it out of 3.
So we'd be like, oh, that's a 1 or a 1.5 or a 2 or a 2.5. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, really odd.
Well, it's like when you do decimals out of 5, it's just your rating out of 10 basically as well.
This is the thing that annoys me about Goodreads is that on Goodreads, you can't do half stars. Right. So like, I was speaking really highly about the Sam Harris book on the podcast. And because there were some things that I think he didn't quite explain perfectly or didn't fully flesh out or like didn't fully convince me on like the is-ought problem, I was like, I can't give this a perfect 5, but a 4 seems too low. Yeah. Because like, it's not an 8 out of 10. It's maybe like a 9 or even like a 9.2. So,
that's why I just hate rating things in general.
Yeah.
The only thing that should ever be 5 out of 5 is this podcast.
Oh my God. Come on.
Oh, what the hell? Another perfect transition.
Speaking of change, whilst we were on it, that's one of the things I missed.
What we were talking about. Speaking about nothing.
Going back to speaking about change. We can't high five anymore. There, I would have high fived you.
Yes.
Come on.
No, we actually can.
Oh,
oh my God, that's so good.
Diabolical miss.
Because people miss the fact that I would never hit your hand.
Yeah, now, you cut my forearm.
Now you're going to lose serious aura because I'm going to make you go swiping for it. That's way better. Seriously, that's people are going to love that. Funnier. Let me know in the comments. Do you prefer that? Watching him swipe for it and miss?
No, it is. Oh, and in case you haven't already, recently we did the Soccer Saturday Challenge.
Okay, what the fuck was that?
we.
Speaking of Chris and his rating.
Oh yeah, that's an actual kind of good segue.
We just boosted his ratings by appearing in his video.
We did a Soccer Saturday Challenge. Come on. He's not even trying anymore. No. We did Soccer Saturday Challenge. Yeah. I posted a picture of my story knowing people think it's a platform roulette.
You're so cheeky with it.
Being like, guess. like that TikTok trend.
And then Arthur was stressing out because he's like, I'm actually going to have to tweet that it's not platform roulette because people are going to be expecting it.
Bro had to put out a statement.
And he did tweet. He put out a statement.
But to be fair, like loads of us were taking photos together and we were on a train. But basically, in case you don't know how it works, you watch Soccer Saturday and the first team that scores from all the 3 p.m. kickoffs across the, like top 5 leagues, there's like 80 games or whatever on, you go there. And so Doncaster Rovers scored first. We ended up in Doncaster.
Yeah, which I celebrated. When I found out it was in Yorkshire, I was like, oh, that's probably great. So I just think Yorkshire's probably a nice place. Yeah. Turned up in Doncaster, ghost town.
No, I thought it was quite busy.
When we got off out of the train station, I was panicking.
That's true.
I was like, oh, this is going to be the worst thing ever.
And we went on the longest train journey ever. There was a sad, unfortunate incident that meant that the train was severely delayed. But we were like basically, do you remember where we were?
At Stevenage. We were at Stevenage for a few hours.
And they were like, by the way, we're about to go into a lay-by that could be a 1 to 4 hour break.
Yeah.
Whilst waiting for the issues up ahead to be cleared. And they were like, you can get off now. But if you're not, we're going to get in lay-by. And I was trying to convince Chris, I was like, come on, let's do the night out here. It's because as well, like we started drinking, we got drunk, and then we were running out of drink. And it was like, I didn't want to like crash.
Oh, people were starting to flag already as well.
People were napping. Arthur was basically napping. And I was like, we could hit the town hard now or potentially flag. And
hit it hard.
But it ended up being absolutely mental. It was one of the wildest nights we've had. And it's all on camera.
Yeah, insane.
They kept the cameras out to the final moment until we ended up sleeping in the same room together. There was no cameras.
Word it differently, please. Every time you do this, you're like, until I came back.
Until we slept together.
Can I tell I came back to yours and slept with you? Yeah. Chris always books us in the same hotel room because he likes to watch us.
What I just said was weird.
I don't know why I said that.
I said was
it's a power move from Chris.
No,
he books himself the penthouse and then he'll put me and Arthur. Oh, and Arthur and George all in the same room, just sharing one bunk bed.
Yeah, and we ended up forming like a spoon of circling. It's really cozy.
But when we got off the train, so we went straight to Spoons. That's when I was thinking, oh no, this is going to be terrible. Because that area, no one was there. And we were just sat in the Spoons and it was sort of just like middle-aged people just sort of having a pint and some chips. Got started with the video, but then people said, oh, you need to go to Silver Street, that's where everyone is. And when we went round the corner towards Silver Street, we realised everyone in Doncaster was there, and it was all right in the end, but it was crazy.
It was crazy. There were a lot of weird things happen. I've got a cut on my hand because I fell out of a tree.
Yeah, he climbed a tree and then he got down in the weirdest way you can imagine. Like, try and imagine a weird way to get out of a tree. It was weirder than that.
Yeah.
And you're going to see it. It's
I kind of want to
good.
speak about everything that happened, but obviously I don't want to spoil the video.
Yeah, that's true.
There was an angry minion that I was winding up that might have had an altercation with you.
Yeah, got in a fight. Got in a fight with a minion.
Against his will.
That's all us.
Bach's the peacekeeper.
I know. I was literally saying, oh, ignore you. Oh, I don't want to give away too much because it's so funny.
No, wait for the clips to come out.
I was like, oh, ignore him. And then before you know it, I'm having a scrap with a minion.
But we did get really drunk. It was like a really good amount of drunk. I didn't zone out, I don't think, that much in that video.
No, you didn't.
I think I got to a good level of drunk where I was like still fully conscious.
Yeah.
Fully conscious, just aware.
Fully conscious baby.
Aware of the world around me.
Yeah.
Fully conscious baby that day.
Do you know what? It's really handy when we go out on a day. Did you upload that day?
Oh, I can't remember.
It's handy when we go out on a day where you haven't uploaded or there isn't a video out with you in it.
It was Saturday. I did upload Saturday.
Oh, you did upload? I did. Because you tend to just be checking in on how it's doing, and that's when you start to zone out, and we're like, excuse me.
I find Saturday videos always start slowly as well and pick up later. So it was like a 7 out of 10, but because I do 3 gaming videos every 10 videos, a 7 out of 10 is basically a 10 out of 10. Yeah. Because my gaming videos aren't going to do as well as like a lot of the Reddit and video reaction stuff. And so I was like, this has kind of bummed me out a little bit because the video's sucking. I'm
just going to drink.
Yeah. That's part of
I'm just going to get battered. And that's why you took it out on the minion.
No.
Right. Interesting. Very interesting.
I did not beat up a minion.
But yeah, it was a crazy night. It was definitely one of those ones as well when you get like the small town effect. Like people find out Chris is in Doncaster. And well, the first Spoons that we went into, I think there was a guy who came up, you recognised Chris, said hello. And then before you know it, like another group run in and they're like, oh, we just heard that you're in Doncaster. Like word had got out. Like the bat signal had gone up that Chris was in Doncaster. And then, they were just like, it was insane. It was the sort of video that you probably like could have done with a bodyguard just to like keep things like safe. Just because when the second Spoons we went into, it was just production team that had to just stand in between. And that's when it gets a bit like, yeah, just a bit out of hand, maybe a little bit.
And to be fair, like right at the start, in the first spoons, the guy was like, I'm surprised we're here without a security guard. And we're like, oh, you know, like most people are fine. He's like, no, this is Doncaster. Like, the most frequent crime here is violent crime.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, that's an unsettling thing to start.
Everyone we spoke to was like, oh, be safe.
Yeah.
That was their end message.
Yeah, be like, oh, have none of you been beaten up or like got in a fight?
Yeah, I know.
Like, what?
Yeah, yet as well. They kept using the word yet.
Yeah, as if there was an inevitability.
Yeah, and then I asked someone, I was like, oh, is it safe here, by the way? And they were like, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
But everyone was, pretty much everyone other than the Grumpy Minion was nice to us.
Yeah.
They were lovely. They really were.
Yeah, it was fine.
But yeah, no, it was good.
Yeah.
Quite busy, but crazy video coming out on the Chris MD channel.
I can't wait to see that.
Go check it out. So next up, I saw this initially on TikTok and I thought it was really interesting. So if you click this image, please, my good man. And what do you notice about this image? What's strange about it?
Oh, so England is in green and then you've got...
That's not green. That is yellow.
That's green.
What's going on?
That's green. You're colorblind. That's green. Producers, that's green.
The producers have confirmed that is yellow.
That's no way is that yellow.
A really bizarre reaction to a yellow map.
100% that's yellow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
maybe
really
the angle
weird.
that you're looking at the TV, or like, oh
no, that is green.
yellow and blue. Maybe you're seeing blue behind the yellow.
No, I'm seeing green. Believe it or not. Anyway, I was going to say, yeah. So England is green, apparently yellow.
Yeah.
Ireland and France are orange. That is orange as well, right? That's orange.
Well, so the map is of the UK. So the yellow is obviously like England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So the yellow bits is just like the relevant area.
And then you've got blood.
And so you've got red for where shark attacks have taken place in the UK.
Okay, southern shores they like.
There's one bit of red that's very odd. And obviously they're all named. That might be a hint. There's a dash of red. I mean, the
Worcester.
producer's kind of instantly given him the answer.
Sorry, I'm colourblind, so I can't see it.
Completely gone.
To be fair, if they hadn't done that, I wouldn't have seen it.
Okay, fair enough.
You know where that is. I thought that was
hoping for a little.
I thought that was a mark on the map.
But there you go. There's a dash in Worcester.
Is that a lake?
And
could that
no,
be?
that is not a lake. So can you think of why there might be a dash of red in Worcester?
A shark attack in Worcester. I don't think it's a... What, could it be a river?
Nope.
And it's not a lake?
Nope.
Is it an aquarium?
Also, sharks wouldn't be there. Closer, much closer. Not an aquarium. But yeah, it's not a natural body of water.
A fishery?
Pretty much there. So, on the 14th of February, Valentine's Day no less, in the year 2000.
Yeah, thank you. My birthday!
That's not...
No, but I was born in 2000.
Fair enough. Oh, you were the Y2K disease that everyone was speaking about.
Disease? No, I was the Millennium Baby, the rarest of all. And oh God, the Millennium Party was so fun.
Plague us all.
So fun.
So on the 14th of February in the year 2000, at the Fountain Pub in Tenbury Wells, Worcestershire.
Tenbury Wells is a lovely place to go.
Is it?
Yeah, it's lovely.
Not if you're a barman's hand.
Why?
A chef by the name of Paul Smith was feeding prawns to the captive sharks kept in an aquarium when they bit his fingers. A 60 centimetre, 2-foot black tip shark named Miami, no less, and two 60 centimetre bamboo cat sharks. I've never heard of that before.
Not very big. 60 centimetres.
Swarmed his hand as he began dropping prawns. He was taken to hospital and sewn up. So,
wow.
Yeah.
60 centimetres. What are they doing with them? They're eating those sharks,
I would imagine, well, in the pub, I was thinking it would be like when they just have the lobsters and you pick one, but maybe it is like an aquarium. Yeah, because an aquarium's not, if they called it an aquarium, you think that that's like for display.
Maybe it is a display in a pub and it's like their whole thing.
Yeah.
Some pubs do that. They'll just put something weird on display.
Put something in display.
And then just name it after it.
There was one in the Jersey Rugby Club back in my day. I don't know if it still is.
What did they have on display there?
But yeah. They had just a massive tank.
Interesting. 60 centimeters though. It's like this. It's like that big, right?
Yeah, not crazy big.
How could you let something like that bite you and not mess it up?
That's true.
I could take 100 of those sharks, even in the water. Put me in the water with them. Only I'll come out.
Yeah. But so I looked at this and I was like, that was a small shark. All these red things. I read through a lot of the stories and I was like, oh, these are all like minor incidents. Okay, maybe like someone's got their hand bitten off or like a chunk of their leg bitten out, but no deaths.
Oh, can I ask you something? Has there been any deaths?
Oh, good question.
Thanks.
And a great segue that I definitely didn't prepare you to ask. I was waiting until you were going to ask that.
I forgot I was
I was
supposed to.
suffering, seriously. So the last shark death in the UK I could find was 1956.
Oh, I remember it.
And guess what happened?
They died.
Yeah. Guess how?
To bits.
Guess how?
To death? Oh, the shark did it? Swam up his butt and just fucked it up from the inside.
You're actually not far off with it swimming up his butt.
Swam up his butt?
Okay, so 46-year-old Leslie Nye and 30-year-old Richard Kirby in 1956 were killed and 2 other men injured when a shark swam underneath their boat and blew up.
Blew up?
Exploded.
What?
So basically, the Navy were out conducting exercise. They had a bunch of like divers in the area, and one shark was spotted, and they were like, "Oh, what do we do about this?" And then at one point, the shark went to attack someone and had to be like frightened away.
Yeah.
And so the Navy were essentially like, "We need to do something about this."
Wow.
We seriously do, because we've got exercise going on. We've got divers out there. And so the following day, Royal Navy Lieutenant Commander, Royal Navy Lieutenant Commander and Patty Officer L. Spicer, what the hell does that mean?
L. Spicer, when someone's not good at spicing their food.
Anyway, joined Leslie and Richard in a quest to find the shark. And they basically it's a Petty Officer, a rank of non-commissional officer in the Navy.
What a horrible name. They should give him a better name than Petty Officer.
Yeah, it's kind of very diminishing.
Petty Officer.
Anyway, so they go out in a dinghy, the 4 of them.
Dinghy?
Get bombs attached to ropes, find the shark, toss it at the shark, spin the boat around, drive away, and the bloody shark goes straight underneath them, and that's when the bomb explodes.
Is that the best way to kill a shark, with a bomb?
I imagine
Really?
because they're in the Navy, that was like the first thing that came to their mind. They were like, what have we got copious amounts of? Bombs.
There's got to be another way.
Because even like shooting in water, like you can kind of swim not that deep underwater and be immune from bullets. Because bullets just slow down so fast when they enter water.
Yeah, actually, but not in GTA though.
Oh yeah, no, not in GTA.
Too many times I've been killed in the drink.
Yep.
Too many times.
Yep.
Interesting though. They decided, okay, we'll bomb the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
Instead of harpoon.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or feed it.
Harpoon, I would imagine, would be one of the best ways.
Poison some fish and poison some chum. They love chum.
Yeah, but then would you want the poison in the ecosystem?
No.
Anyway, quite interesting, right?
Suppose not.
Oh, what was the other little shark fact I found? There are 29 different types of sharks that have been seen in the UK. And those ones were essentially over the last 100 years.
In relation to sharks, I've got a segue for you.
Oh,
You see that video of but you've seen the people in the aquariums that swim like with a mermaid tail on amongst the fish. Do you see the one where a sturgeon came past and sucked her head up?
I did see this. That's crazy.
Spat it out straight away because they don't have teeth. They just have like a plate for grinding crustaceans, I think.
Yeah, I didn't know their mouth could do that.
So I read one of the comments. Now, I don't believe the comment face value because they might just be making it up, and I tend to be gullible, but apparently it's like if someone would squish your head between two books.
Yeah, here it is.
But the suction
goodness.
is just crazy. Like 1 second her head is here, the next it just gets sucked in.
It like snatches and
the displacement is just goes straight in. She's like, what? But I wonder
that must
why
be how they
did
swallow
that.
the fish and like create that sort of suction.
Yeah. So strange though. It's a huge sturgeon. That's where caviar comes from, isn't it? Sturgeons.
God, that would be so scary.
Just a barrel of caviar sucked her head off.
No, that is mental, isn't it? Really?
But that's terrifying. That's more scary than a shark attack to me. Because
what?
At least shark, you know what you're getting. Teeth. I wouldn't expect that to come out just to suck your head off. And it's like something comes out from inside its mouth as well. Like its mouth is still there.
Those mouths. Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
I'd rather just a bite, to be honest, at that point.
It makes a lot of sense, I guess, evolutionarily, because like rather than having to move your entire body towards the fish, which would take a lot of energy, would be quite slow. If just a small amount of you snaps out, that's going to be a lot faster than snapping your entire body forward, you know?
Yeah, and it's so powerful to
a lot of suction.
Move a human head that quick. It's just like snaps in there.
Yeah. Oh, talking about speed. Last week, we were speaking about the rod, and the episode hasn't come out yet, but I was thinking about it, and I was like, did I explain that particularly well? Because we kind of skimmed over it, and I'm pretty sure I just said, so we were speaking about a rod and like, could you and essentially stand one end of a rod and a billion light years away, have someone else at the other side of the rod and essentially just move the rod up and instantaneously it would happen. You could speak in Morse code or something, be like way faster communication than anything else. And maybe that could be, you know, I mean, realistically, you'd never be able to build something like that, but that would be interesting. And I was like, oh, but in actual fact, it would move at the speed of sound. So he'd push it and it would travel up the rod at the speed of sound.
Yeah.
But that's not the speed of sound in air. That's the speed of sound through the medium, which I just find really interesting. So obviously, like, sound is a like wave of vibrations and matter vibrates differently. You know, if you've got something like steel, it's all tightly packed together. The way those molecules are going to go through compression and rarefaction, which is essentially the stretching, is obviously going to be, because they're so tightly packed, the like movement of that wave is going to be much more efficient. And I didn't realize just how much faster it was. So in air, speed of sound is 767 miles an hour, faster in warm air, but you know, that's a standard measurement. In water, sound travels at 3,311 miles an hour. So when whales are communicating, they're communicating faster than us. So like a yodeler that's got to yodel to tell a story, it's going to take him more time, or her, than a whale.
But at a distance like this, I guess you wouldn't really know.
Right.
But that's interesting though. Whales from a distance get their point across quicker.
Yeah.
Whereas we don't.
Yeah. And steel, basically, 13,334 miles an hour.
That's rapid.
Yeah, which is very fast.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
So if you sort of like could speak into a steel thing and let it communicate over way faster.
So like that's interesting. So you know the classic can of beans on a string? That's quicker than speaking without the can of beans on a string.
It may very well travel down that rope. I can't imagine the rope would be it'd be a lot slower, because I'm
sure it's quicker than air though.
Yeah.
So
may very well be.
that is interesting. Maybe we should do that forever. What are we doing? What are we playing at?
Yeah.
I would love to know the delay between, so I'm speaking now and the producers can hear it in headphones. I think they're wearing headphones. I wonder how much slower that is than speaking through air.
Yeah. If we had a calculator, it'd be quite an easy calculation. But that's boring.
But I don't. Oh, but I've got a fun fact about the speed of sound.
Oh, yeah?
My parents' house isn't too far away from a airfield.
Oh.
And not long ago, when I was still living there, it was in the summer. Oh, I remember it. A warm summer. Two fighter jets flew over because they were, I said fighter jet, it's just a jet. I don't know if they're fighting or not, because there was an unknown plane in the airspace, so they had to go and intercept it. They broke the sound barrier, made the whole house go boom and shake. And I thought someone had crashed into the house, and only found out later that it was someone breaking the sound barrier. It feels insane.
That is
It
really
shook the whole
crazy.
house. It was crazy. My little sister was upstairs asleep, woke her up, and she was shitting herself. And then I think my parents were out walking the dog, and the dog just freaked out.
Yeah, I can imagine, because what the hell are they going to put that down to?
Yeah, so weird. The idea that you can...
As if they didn't like it enough.
Yeah.
And fireworks were going off. Imagine that.
Oh yeah, breaking the sound barrier. Apparently it used to happen all the time with the Concorde flights from London to New York.
Yeah, interesting.
The Concorde didn't last long, did it?
No, it didn't.
Because it wasn't so safe. But rapid.
Very fast.
They were talking about bringing that back.
I would love for it to come back and have a quick flight to New York. I want the like vacuum tubes underneath the crust of the earth.
Vacuum
or in
tubes
the crust of the earth, probably.
under the crust
to
of the
just
earth.
suck us from city to city. Heard of this idea?
No.
But they sort of like want to build long tubes under the ground, make it like a vacuum so there's no air resistance, and you can just rapidly pop from city to city. It's an idea about
What's
the future.
breathing? What's breathing like under there?
So I think in your capsule you can have air, oxygen,
Okay.
but that capsule will be airtight. And so as that capsule moves through the tube,
Dangerous though.
There's
'Cause
no
if there's even like a break in your capsule, you just get crushed, right? The vacuum.
Isn't that like because like you can plug a hole in the ISS with your thumb, because there's only actually the pressure difference is only 1 atmosphere. It's not like being in a submarine where it's like the pressure is like many, many atmospheres over. Like the pressure difference between being inside something with air and somewhere with a vacuum, like essentially out of space. Yeah, there's only a pressure gradient of 1 atmosphere.
But your head would blow up
which
if
is actually not that much.
didn't have a spacesuit on.
Yeah, I think even that's supposed to be, it's not that instantaneous.
No, but it would happen.
It would happen. I think you die quite quickly.
It wouldn't be pleasant.
But yeah, there's probably a lot of risk. I mean, just the idea of having the vacuum, because I mean, imagine it breaks and loads of water and stuff comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting thought of travel, that.
Yeah,
I think what comes before that is using Starlink, where you go like just in orbit to travel an hour to Australia.
Oh, I see. Oh,
Then-
exit space and then
Yeah, just use space to...
exit the atmosphere, I mean.
Would be rapid.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of
it's coming.
vacuums, because sound, obviously, like sound needs a medium to travel through, unlike light. Obviously, the space between the sun and the earth is a vacuum. If that was a medium that sound could travel through, the sun would be as loud as a jackhammer, wouldn't it? I know you know that one already.
I know, it would be so
we've
annoying.
spoken about it before, but can you just imagine the constant sound of a sun was...
I
I
wonder
think
if...
they estimate it's around 120 to 140 decibels, just constant jackhammering.
Earth is perfect, isn't it, really?
Yeah,
As
it is really great that there's just a vacuum between us.
That would be so annoying.
Really annoying. We probably wouldn't have evolved hearing as a sense, because you're not going, you know, the
Can't
first
hear
organisms that had like a slight gauge of hearing that evolved that through random mutation would have not been able to use it. There would have been no advantage, because of course you can't hear a little bug crawling around or a predator nearby because you've got a jackhammer in your ear constantly.
Yes, maybe we would have had a better sense.
Yeah, maybe a different one.
Something like a sixth sense. Don't snakes have like Jacob's sense or something like that?
Well, whether they can feel in the ground trembling.
I don't know what it is. I just remember they have something else going on.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you get a lot of animals that can sense footsteps in the ground.
Yeah. They can feel it in their balls. But I can tell the weather from my balls.
Jacob's organ.
Jacob's organ.
Oh,
I just remember the name Jacob. I don't really know why.
Jacob's organ, also known as the vomeronasal organ,
is
a secondary sense of smell that helps them detect pheromones. Ooh.
Oh,
cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's just a secondary sense of smell. Weird. Why do you need two? That's greedy. And all you can smell with it is pheromones.
That's kind of
It's a good thing. No, it's a good thing I don't have that, because you would stink, boy.
Oh, humans may have remnants of it. But it's non-functional.
That's what I can smell. Wonder why we got rid of that. We were like, nah.
Probably just stop becoming an advantage. It's kind of a shame that, like, now we could do with so many of the things we probably lost.
Yeah, like a tail.
I'd love to have a tail.
Yeah,
really
same.
would.
Maybe it's because there were so many humans. It was like, oh, you don't really need to sniff out a person anymore. They're just around the corner.
We lost it 23 million years ago. That's why I can't remember where I lost it.
Oh, yeah.
It was so long ago, I can't even remember where I was.
It's just located behind the nostrils. Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting. But yeah, anyway. And then obviously light doesn't need a medium, which is really cool. Yeah. They can just go.
They can just go.
But obviously, like, one of the fundamental things in physics is that the speed of light is constant. Do you remember what it is?
Let me do it in scientific notation. 3 times 10 to the power of 8 meters per second.
Nice. Also known as 299,792 kilometers per second, or 186,282 miles an hour. Yeah. I always find it weird that I always see the 299,000 kilometers per second. They always talk about light in kilometers per second, but sound in miles an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Why is that? Sound in miles? Maybe because we're talking about, like, when it comes with sound, you can talk about planes traveling at a certain speed that breaks the sound barrier.
Yeah, maybe.
Whereas, to be honest, they only really talk about it in meters per second when you get into, like, physics and stuff.
That's
like
true.
Everything just goes down to meters per second.
By the way, very important thing that the speed of light is constant, which, as we've spoken about before, has really interesting consequences on time and time dilation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So people are always like, oh, but if speed of light is constant, why does it go slower through, like, water and air and gas? Like, so actually goes that speed in a vacuum. We always say that's the speed of light in a vacuum, but in air, it only travels 99.97% of that, 75% of that speed in water, 66% in glass, and 41% in diamond, which is one of the slowest speeds for visible light. And that is essentially because light particles are briefly absorbed and then re-emitted by particles. So when it's going through that water, it's essentially absorbed by the water and then spat out by the water briefly after. And that slows down its journey.
Oh, it has its wicked way with it and then spits it back out.
Yeah, it's kind of slutty, isn't it, really?
It's slutty,
It goes through, just get absolutely ran through by these molecules.
Oh, that's such slutty behaviour.
Why has no one done a big book about how slutty light is? Seriously.
How slutty light is. Yeah, and I remember there was like an experiment where you could shoot light photons and they can move something. So I always wonder if you're traveling in a car and you've got your headlights on, are you going slightly slower than without your headlights on?
Oh, what? Because you think it's pushing you in the other direction?
Potentially, but they don't carry mass.
They don't carry mass, so there'd be no equal and opposite reaction.
Then if they don't carry mass, how do they push something off?
There must be some amount of energy that's absorbed in the absorption and re-emission that, the photon doesn't come out with maybe as much energy. Some of that energy is turned into kinetic energy, pushing the object away.
It is curious.
It's weird.
It is weird. Well, that was a nice section on speeds of light and speeds of sound. Oh, and speaking of sound,
the speed of sound to show you how it all began. We're having Coldplay on the next episode, everyone.
No, they haven't confirmed yet, but we are in talks.
No, we keep DMing them.
Yeah, see, we're in talks.
It's borderline harassment.
We keep going into their DM requests, so we are in talks.
Me, Bach, and Chris Martin are just in this group, and we're just sending memes all day, every day.
Yeah, he does. Oh, Chris, have you seen that edit of Chris Martin where it's like, oh, one day Coldplay is going to be the biggest thing in the world, and then it's boom. And you got,
that's sick.
Look how they shine for you.
Oh, just in case.
He knew.
One day, Bach and Arthur, we're going on tour, and it's going to be sick.
Oh, shit. And then people are going to edit that in.
And then it's...
And then we're singing on stage. Yo, what the fuck is going on? Our famous hit single that's coming out.
Who is from Brooklyn, New York? We say in Australia.
I saw a clip of George on his podcast talking to Max about Arthur's new EP, which is excellent, by the way. You should go listen to it. And apparently you had a feature on one of the songs. He was saying that you had a feature on one of the songs. One of the ad-libs was you. Is that true, or was he setting it up for a joke that I didn't see the rest of?
Yeah, he said it was a joke at the end.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Because he's always throwing me into weird scenarios on his podcast.
So I could see it, and then I was looking for another clip to find it, and I was like, oh, no, this could either be a joke, because it was like the joke that he did with you on Planet Arthur. You know, when he set something up to be serious, and then you're like, oh, it was a joke.
All that time when he rang me up and was like, oh, I've been invited to a Mr. Beast video.
Gets you to fly out to New York.
Spend 100 days in the sea. And I was like, let's do it. Like, that wasn't true, by the way.
Yeah.
He's just adding ArthurTV law that if you cut the bit where it's like it's a joke.
I thought it was real. I was like, oh, that's sick. And I was like, oh, I was going to ask you what part that was. Damn.
No.
Well.
But me and Arthur are probably working on a Linga cover.
Ooh, actually.
And then we're going to do a Christmas song, you, George and Arthur, and maybe Chris.
An Easter song, because Easter's first, so we should probably do that.
A smoke weed every day
song
cover for your Rastafarian alien.
He doesn't smoke weed.
Oh, fair enough.
No.
Oh, he's got that space galactic ganja. They grow something different out there.
No, he's into yerba mate or whatever it's called.
Oh.
Yerba mate. Is it mate or mate?
I saw him chewing ayahuasca earlier on. He was tripping.
No, that wasn't ayahuasca.
Oh, anyway. Now we've got some stuff from the listeners.
Hello.
So this one is from Tal.
Tal, cool name. What's it short for? Talon?
Oh, a talented question asker.
Talcum powder?
Because this is fantastic. So Tal says, I'm currently taking a Greek classics course at my uni. We love Greek philosophy on this channel. We really do. My professor brought up the Achilles Paradox, but he didn't really get into it much. Could you guys talk about it and what you think of the theory? Much love. So, have you heard this one?
Yes.
It's quite an interesting one for physics. So, it was put across by a Greek philosopher called Zeno, who lived in Elia in Italy, from 490 to 430 BCE. And he essentially was a student of a philosopher who used to essentially say that time isn't real, change isn't real. And he was sort of putting across this paradox. He wasn't very good at writing poetically. So he used to convey his ideas with paradoxes. And he kind of had this idea that motion wasn't real, wasn't possible, even though obviously we know it is, by putting across this paradox. And he framed it in a number of ways. One classic one, the reason it's partly called Zeno's paradox and partly called Achilles paradox, is because he imagined Achilles racing a tortoise. A slow tortoise. I mean, he could be swimming against a turtle, but no, he wasn't. He's racing a tortoise. And the tortoise got a head start. And he said that Achilles, even though he was twice as fast, would never overtake the tortoise, because every time he would catch up to where the tortoise was, the tortoise would have moved on a little bit further. And although Achilles is faster, so that number gets smaller, every time he catches up to where it was, the tortoise would have always moved along a little bit further. And you can break that essentially distance down infinitely, just keep halving it, keep halving it, keep halving it. And there are these infinite steps to get through. And so he would never actually catch up with the tortoise. But it was also, you can also frame it, I guess, because motion is relative. I don't know if you want to go into that a little bit more, that like technically if that tortoise is moving at a set speed, you could consider that tortoise was stopped. Stationary. And then Achilles was approaching him.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can also frame it in terms of Achilles walking to the stadium. So for Achilles to get to the stadium, you know, rather than making it a bit more complicated with two moving objects, you can have it with a still one. And to get to the stadium, he's got to go halfway to the stadium.
Yeah.
And to go halfway, he's got to go halfway between the halfway point and you go to a quarter point, an eighth point. And technically, there are an infinite number of these steps that you've got to pass through to get to the
stadium, yeah.
The final bit. And it's very counterintuitive, isn't it?
Yeah. So what it is an infinite number of sums with a finite result.
Yeah. And so Zeno didn't know that at the time. So at the time, I think intuitively, you'd go, if I'm infinitely adding a positive number, even if it's a fraction, I'm going to be constantly adding things forever. The sum is going to be infinite because I'm constantly adding things. But you can have an infinite series that leads to a finite sum. And so essentially, we were speaking before the podcast about whether we should get some sort of like whiteboard up to like draw out the mathematical equations. You can find that online because obviously you can change the numbers to be whatever you want to be. So you can find it on YouTube, find it on the internet and have someone walk through the numbers. But essentially you can have an infinite series add up to a finite sum. So you essentially can reach the point where they are neck and neck, even though you're adding up a series of infinite sums. But it's kind of like it's such an interesting one. I love paradoxes where the essentially wrong answer, you know, absolutely it's wrong. Like, you know that he will essentially overtake the tortoise. Or he will eventually get to the stadium because we've done it in our real lives a million times when you're going, but there are infinite steps.
It feels counterintuitive to say that an infinite number of sums can add up to a finite number. Infinity is a hard thing to get your head around.
It is. I don't think it's like when we try and talk about quantum physics and stuff, like some of the things, like our brains evolved for us to survive on the savannah. And like, you know, for day to day, we can't picture what a million looks like in our head, really.
No.
We can't picture a lot of these like ideas and wrapping our heads around things that, you know, are complicated in mathematics and physics and like infinite. Our brains never evolved to comprehend infinity. So we do really struggle with it. And I think one thing it really reminds me of is the whole idea of 0.9 recurring equaling 1. Yeah. That when I was studying maths, I was like, it's not, right? Like it's infinitely approaching 1. Like you're forever getting closer. You know, you're going from 0.9, you want to get to 1, you've got to go through 0.99. And to get to 1, you've got to go 0.999. And infinitely recurring, like you're going like, surely that's just ever getting closer, but it never reaches it. But 0.9 recurring is equal to 1.
Yeah.
And the easy way to wrap your head around it is the classic 1/3 is equal to 0.3 recurring, and 1/3 times 3 is equal to 1. And also 0.3 recurring times 3 is equal to 0.9999 recurring.
Yeah.
And so you're essentially saying 3 of this is equal to this. And when 1/3 is equal to 0.3 recurring and 3 of them is equal to 1, it's also equal to 0.9 recurring. So it's true, but it's one of those things where, you know, some people are just like, I refuse to accept it.
Yeah, I'm like,
I can't wrap my head around it. Same with the infinite steps. Just like,
with that sort of maths, you've just got to be like, all right, fine.
Yeah. You've just got to look at the proofs. And go like, you know what, fine.
Yeah, whatever. I won't be able to wrap my head around that.
No.
Fine, whatever. I believe you.
Yeah. And then, and I think some quantum physics enjoyers kind of think that the Achilles paradox is solved by the Planck length of going like, this is the point where you can't, it's not that you can't measure anything smaller than the Planck length. It's just like that below that length, everything we really understand about physics and reality sort of breaks down.
Yeah.
So they go like, maybe it's the case that once you've divided it, there's one plank length left.
Yeah.
And you don't divide that any further. You just jump forward one because maybe you can't move your atoms like half a plank length or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's out of my realm of understanding, really.
Yeah.
Plank length. The whole kind of like, oh no, don't worry, everything we understand about the world breaks down at this size.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
Oh, don't worry, none of it makes sense anyway.
Yeah. Oh no, it's both things at once, but neither of them. And
both things at once, but neither of them.
Oh, it exists in multiple places at once in multiple states, but don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And you go, like, oh, well, does it? Oh yeah, because we can prove that it does.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, well, I can see that it does, but what?
I used to hate like when someone would ask me about that sort of thing, like wave particle duality and stuff. And you like explain it thinking it's really cool. And then they're like, yeah, but that doesn't make sense. And you're like, yeah, I guess it doesn't, but.
Yeah. No, because it is in one space or the other space, right? Like it's going to do one. And you're like,
yeah.
No, not really.
No, not really. And it doesn't make sense, but it is what it is.
And then they go, why? And you're like, oh. It's a great question.
Just how it is.
I have no
yeah.
idea.
And then at that point, they're like, oh, it's not interesting anymore. It's just made up.
Oh, you don't know why? Yeah, it's probably made up.
Yeah.
Like, no, look at the experiments. It's all, it's all very odd. I do love a good paradox, though.
You do love a good paradox.
Yeah.
Speaking of paradox, you love the next section as well.
Oh, why?
Oh.
This one's...
Oh, because it's a moral dilemma.
Oh, we love moral dilemmas.
And you love moral dilemmas. That's right. So... we've got a moral... Who was this from? Jess?
Whenever we do these, by the way, and we get given moral dilemmas, we expose ourselves for being evil.
Yeah, that's
normal,
true.
but evil.
So this is from Jess. Yeah, specifically me, I think, comes across as evil. But hey, maybe I am. Thank you, Jess. You will be destroyed now that you've sent this in. I have a moral dilemma for you. You've been on a cruise for 2 days when there's an accident that forces everyone on board to abandon ship. During the evacuation, one of the boats is damaged, leaving it with a hole that fills it with water. You figure out that with 10 people in the boat, you can keep the boat afloat by having 9 people scoop the filling water out by hand for 10 minutes while the 10th person rests. After that person's 10-minute rest, he or she will get back to work while another person rests, and so on. This should keep the boat from sinking long enough for a rescue team to find you, as long as it happens within 5 hours.
Right, so you've got 5 hours.
You've got 5 hours using that technique. You're taking your first break when you notice your best friend in a sound lifeboat with only 9 people in it, and he beckons you to swim over and join them so you won't have to keep bailing out water. If you leave the people in the sinking boat, they'll only be able to stay afloat for 2 hours instead of 5, decreasing their chance of being rescued, but securing yours. What do you do?
Oh.
What do you do?
You know what? This is just throwing me back to the exposing our moral hypocrisy episode where, do you remember where we were speaking about the trainer and like buying shoes when you could have saved someone's life with the same money?
Yeah.
I think it's quite obvious what you should do. You should stay.
Kill everyone. Oh.
I think it's obvious that, I mean, practically, surely you bring that lifeboat over and go, oh, well, now we can have a 20-minute rest because there's 20 of us.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that the other people on the boat, let's assume that they're all selfish and they don't want to get involved. They're like, we're happy on our lifeboat.
Yeah, because we could say, oh, well, I could drink the whole ocean and then everyone will be fine. but I won't do it in this scenario. But also you could say like, oh, keep both boats next to each other. And I'll keep doing this for 5 hours. If no one shows up, then I'll join your boat because we'll all die anyway. You could say that, but for the sake of it, I think we say
that we accept
right
these
now,
premises.
Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah. So what are you thinking?
I'd probably stay in the boat, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, keep bailing out water. I know that's surprising.
Wow. Given you've always
first one, I'm not selfish. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, on this one, just because I think it would descend into chaos if I did otherwise, and I don't want to have to kill another person.
Interesting.
I just don't think.
But you're not killing them. They've got they would have 2 hours still. Their chance would just be decreased. So you're not abandoning them, but you're going like, either I stay here and there's a chance I die, or I save myself completely and those people are a bit more... Tell you what, it's not that far off the red pill, blue pill, because you're either picking saving yourself, but increasing the chance of other people suffering.
But in the red pill, like everyone else has the same option to save themselves, whereas here, any one of us could actually join the other boat, but
I think only your best friend
I'm getting the option here. So it's like, I don't know. It's hard to say because I'd love to say, yeah, for sure, I'd stay in the boat and I'd try and save everyone. But at the same time, in the scenario where I'm like, oh, I actually could die in like 5 hours, or I could just definitely survive. in this fight or flight scenario, I might be like, I'm never going to see these people again.
That's the thing. It's like when it's so easy to like philosophize and just think through this and go, oh, of course I do the morally good thing. But when you're actually faced with it, you know, you could never know. Like, there's no way here we could sit and think, how would we actually feel if we were in this scenario and this is how I'd act. But like, I think everything about when we speak about our philosophy, we're quite, obviously like a mix, but like we tend to be quite like utilitarianist, like maximum good for the maximum number of people, like, you know, and that kind of thing. We would say that you should stay like any other like virtue ethics where you're going like, oh, being good is about being virtuous, and like there's virtue in having the dignity to like stay and the selflessness and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. There was really weirdly, I was looking into a couple of like ethical theories and like philosophies of going like and seeing like, oh, is there actually one that if I really read about it, I'd find it more compelling, or like it's actually more how I feel about things. And there are some people that have this ethical theory that like what is good is in your own self-interest.
Right, okay.
And in that sense, in the red pill, blue pill thing, taking the red pill is the good thing to do because you're going like, I'm doing what's best for me. Everyone else should do that.
Yeah.
And for them, the good and right thing to do would be to get in your best bud's boat.
Yeah.
Just because that's, you know.
You got to think as well, if I'm dying, my best friend's going to be upset.
Oh.
So you're doing them a favour by getting in that boat as well.
Yeah.
Because no one's ever going to laugh again if I die. All my friends will be miserable. So
that's actually a weird like because like one of the problems with like utilitarianism is saying that like you don't know where the consequences end. So like you could say, for example, that if you're going, oh, I want to do what's like the maximum good for the maximum number of people, and someone goes, by the way, you've got this button here, and what's like a really awful thing to happen? Let's just say a mass killing, and you go like, press that button, and 1,000 people are killed in a horrible way, and they're targeted because of a characteristic of theirs, and you go, that's horrible. Obviously, like utilitarianism, like I want the maximum good for people, like I want everyone to be as happy as possible and reduce suffering as much as possible. I'm not going to press that, and not pressing that is a good thing.
Yeah.
But you don't know that if you press that and it got into the news, that like there could be some policy enacted, or like people could really change, or there could be a really big conversation where had that not happened, there would have been a genocide where like 5 times the number of people could have died.
Yeah.
And that didn't happen because of that. And it's like only really at the heat death of the universe or maybe like billions of years down the line can you actually go
whether it was a good decision
because
or
of
not.
all the knock-on effect is going like, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Like a butterfly flapping its wings, like, you know, I could slap you now and you might go, well, that's a bad thing. I can't see any inevitable consequence.
But clip goes viral.
Clip goes viral.
We make £200 from it. We invest that, make a fortune of 1 million, invest half of it to charity, and save 1,000 lives.
Exactly. And so that's the challenge here. You could go, you know what?
We're rich. I'm not donating to charity. I'm keeping the money.
It's really interesting. I feel really bad. That hurt you?
No.
Okay, good. It was quite a firm little tap. Your jawline's very strong.
Thanks. Is your hand all right?
Ouch. Yeah, you're not going to ask me? I've got a cut from the tree and I'll cut from the sharp jawline.
It was so funny actually in the lift when we were checking out and coming out of the hotel. We saw some guys that we saw from last night, and you were like, "Yeah, I've got a bad hand because I fell down from the tree." And they were looking at your hand. You're like, "That seems all right," and you're like, "No, it hurts more than you'd ever know." Because it's such a tiny little.
It's a tiny little cut. It really is.
It's one of those ones that just really hurts.
Yeah.
So he was just there looking at it like,
ouch. Yeah, no, but with that kind of thing, like you could think that obviously like staying around is what's best for those 10 people.
Yeah.
But like maybe you as a content creator living on would bring, if you could calculate all the happiness that people get from your videos, from your amazing podcast, all that kind of stuff, maybe all of that happiness adds up to more happiness than like, you know, the happiness scale of like 10 or 9 people that might be struggling to live more, which is obviously an evil and selfish idea.
No, you know what? You're so right.
Could be true, depending on how you quantify happiness.
No, you're right. I'm going to save myself. Thank you.
It's really interesting.
I needed that. No. I'm jumping in that other boat.
I wouldn't. I think people would consider you evil if you ever said that.
but if I swam over...
I'd want to save their 10 lives, but it would mean I can't film a video tonight and 100,000 people will watch it, and that's a lot of happiness, so they're going to have to die. They seriously are.
Just imagine you're in the other boat that I've just left now, and you're just bailing out water, and I'm sat safe and sound in this boat going, no, but just think about it, because I make YouTube videos and it brings people a lot of happiness. You guys need to just get to grips with the fact this is good for everyone.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough 2 hours for you guys. Sorry.
Just lecturing them, but it's for the greater good.
But hey, someone might come along and save you after all. You know what it reminds me of? It's not that similar, but have you ever heard the story of the religious person lost at sea?
No.
And so he's treading water. His boat's capsized. He's out there fishing by himself. His boat's capsized and it's just him.
Yeah.
And he's treading water and he's like, gosh, I can't do this for very long. And this boat pulls up. He's a very religious man. This boat pulls up. He says to the religious man, hey, hop in. And he goes, oh no, don't worry. Like God's got a plan for me. He'll save me. He'll save me. And the man goes, okay. And a bit later on, a helicopter comes by and a helicopter goes, oh my goodness, we've just seen you look really struggling. It doesn't look like you've got much energy left. Honestly, we'll come down. Here's the rope, grab on. And he goes, no, don't worry. God's got a plan. God's got a plan for this. He'll save me. And he starts sinking. He starts going under and he goes, oh my goodness. He starts going under. This tiny little submarine comes out and it starts blasting sound that he can hear. And he goes, oh, like, jump on top. We'll resurface. You can hop in through the hole. We'll save you. And he goes, he's just thinking in his head, and he just waves like that. He's drowning, and he just goes, no. And in his head, he goes, don't worry, like God's got a plan. God will save me. And he dies. And he sat, and he goes up to heaven, and he sat there with God, and he goes, by the way, how come you never saved me? And he was like, I sent a fucking boat, a helicopter, and a submarine. What more did you want from me? I think that was actually taught to me when I was in like church as kind of like the God works in mysterious ways, it's always could be indirect.
Yeah. You hear a lot of stories like that when like someone is really struggling with something and then all of a sudden a stranger will come up and say something. You're like, oh, I actually needed to hear that. It's like, maybe you're an angel in disguise. And I often think I'm an angel in many ways.
You're an angelic man.
True.
And just to finish off, we had a funny experience on the way to the podcast here today,
that's right. Tell them.
We went and sat down, and we were on the overground, and I sat on one, and Bach sat next to me. And it was one of those seats where they've got like a bit of a glass pane, like a glass panel next to the like thing that you hold. And I just look left, and there's this girl with her face up against the window, being like jaw on the floor, being like no way, like kind of shaking. And I look at Bach, and I'm like, Bach, I think we've been recognised. And he looks, and we look again, and she just goes, pops her head around the corner, and goes, "This is crazy." And we were like, "What?" And turns out, not only is she like a fan of the content, because I feel like there are, recognitions happen from time to time. She was one of the 1,200 people that came to our live show.
Yeah, she was a live show.
Like, she's specifically a big fan of the show, the Bachelor After podcast and us. And she was very friendly, very lovely, very kind to us. And we had a nice little conversation. We asked her where she was headed, all this kind of stuff. And we were like, you know what? We've actually probably got space for one more submission, maybe a little bit. Because we were kind of saying after the first and second episode, we kind of went quite heavy with science at points. And we were like, we want kind of more of a balanced structure of like bit of science, bit of philosophy, bit of submissions, bit of our day-to-day lives to keep it kind of like a bit more mixed. And let us know if you guys enjoy it. Just so, it's sort of like the episodes are enjoyable for everyone with all these different tastes. And we were like, but we haven't actually got a personal type submission for this one. And so what did she say? So
Izzy said that she has a friend who flakes out on a lot of plans. So it's kind of like a one-sided friendship. She feels like she's making a lot of effort to do things. And the other person will be like, yeah, sure, we'll do it here, or we can do it then. But then when it comes to it, they're like, oh, sorry, I'm busy, or I can't make it, or whatever. So her whole dilemma is, what do you do about having a one-sided friendship or a friend that flakes out on a lot of plans? And what did we say to her? Well, destroy them.
I think the first thing that because she was very invested, like showed us all the messages and stuff. And it was kind of a funny one because often with flaky friends, it's like, it can be sort of like one friend's moved on, but they haven't communicated it. Yeah. And they're just going, oh no, we'll do that later. This person was going like waiting for the day and being like, oh, like rats, I've got to help my mum with something today. Let's do this tomorrow. And they were like reorganizing plans very enthusiastically, which made it harder.
Yeah, it's hard to gauge what's going on really. But I said that I am guilty of being a bit of a flaker but it's more because it's not like I don't do it on purpose. Things will come up and I'm like, oh no, I've got to do this now, or like I didn't expect to have this, like deadlines will come up and like, oh, I've got to do this, so can we reorganize for this or reorganize for that? So I can understand from the other side how it is to have to do that to plans, to be like, oh, last minute, I'm sorry, I really have to reschedule. But as long as you're making an effort to actually reschedule, I think it's okay. But it seems like this person's making an effort to reschedule, but then not staying true to that. Then on the day is like, actually, no, I can't do that. I don't know. It's a difficult one.
I think our ultimate guidance was it's kind of that we tend to say this a lot with these scenarios, that just communication is so important. And like a lot of her replies could be, I mean, completely understandably, not in like not criticizing her for it, would be like when they cancel, the replies would be very dry. And I mean, she used those words herself. She was like, I reply quite dry. And we were like, obviously, like it's completely understandable and justified for you to feel frustrated, to maybe be like, oh, you know, I'm not necessarily being treated right. Like I'm putting in this effort. I'm waiting for you. I'm clearing my day. I'm waiting for you. I'm scheduling you in. But ultimately, like you keep canceling on me. So of course you're going to be frustrated and not want to put an effort. But we were like, communication is really important. And I think if you turn around and send a message by just being like, listen, just to let you know, like we have made plans a couple of times. They've been cancelled on your side. I'm just worrying maybe a little bit that we're growing apart. Like I'd rather, if this was the case, you tell me that maybe you've got new friends that you're preferring to spend time with, that you maybe don't want to spend as much time with me as maybe you used to. And like, although that would be really tough to hear, I'd rather hear it and accept it than spend the next few weeks or even months just constantly worrying like, am I right to keep doing this? Am I being too harsh by judging her for pulling out because she has always got a reason? Like, am I being selfish by caring more about my feelings and her plans, all this kind of stuff, and being like, oh, maybe she doesn't like me, but she's not telling me. And I think when you're in that situation, it just sucks, doesn't it? Like, I don't know if you're much of an overthinker, but sometimes you can be like, oh, damn, like, you know, and you just start worrying about like the worst case scenario. Yeah. And often you're better off just being like, listen, just give it to me straight.
Yeah. But I'd personally struggle to have that conversation with someone. I'm more of like a tester where I'll be like, if I feel someone's flaking on plans a lot, I would just stop trying and see if they then make the effort. And if they don't, then I'll just be like, okay, they aren't interested.
Oh, interesting.
More so than being like, oh, just tell me straight. Because I'd worry also that they're not going to tell the truth anyway, because it's a hard thing to say.
That's also true.
So I'd rather just test it myself and just be like, okay, well, let's see if they make the effort. And if they don't, I'll stop doing it.
I think you must be the same. Do you feel like you're quite a low maintenance friend? Like, I feel like if one of my boys, like I'll every couple of months hang out with my boys from uni, and I won't have spoken to them in months, and it's like the best thing ever. Like we hang out, like we were with each other a week ago, and we have a big catch up, and it's fine. And I've got some friends who will go like, oh, if I haven't messaged my friend in a week, they'll get a bit sassy with me and be like, oh, you haven't got time for me, all this kind of stuff.
Wow.
And it's like, it could just be the case. Because I mean, I could so imagine you having that with me and being like let's say in 5 years' time, we move to different countries and you go, oh, I'm going to test this and see how long Arthur takes to message me back. And maybe I don't check in with you for a month, and you could go, actually, you know, he's moved somewhere else. He doesn't want to be friends with me. But it might just be the case that I'm much more focused on short-term, what's in front of me. And like, you know, I'm happy to catch up with you after 3 months.
Yeah.
And, you know, continue where we were. So.
Yeah. It's more like if I were to, like, I wouldn't test it by not messaging you to see if you message me. It would be more like if I tried to make a plan with you and you were like, sorry, I can't make that. Then I'd be, and it was like a repeat thing. That's when I test it to see if you would try and make a plan back. Because me, if I would, so if my friends are like, oh, let's do this now. And I'm like, I can't make that. Or, yeah, let's do that. Oh, sorry, something's come up. I really can't do that. I'll make sure that I make the effort to then be the person to reach out and say, okay, let's try this then, or this, that, what dates are you free, so we can actually get it logged in. Yeah,
energy back is so important. You get it on the, I don't know if you get them on when you do the sort of like Tinder, Hinge, subreddit videos and some people, and it's like very clear that when people are cancelling, they're just cancelling and leave it. And it's like after a certain point, if the other person isn't making active plans to rearrange, then you just got to accept it. But that was the strange thing about this one, that she was like, it's confusing because her friend was constantly trying to like picking days, like being let's do Tuesday and not going. So it can be more complicated. And if you're in doubt, I think you're right, it is hard, but I think because I'm quite like analytical when it comes to like social situations. It's probably why people often say I'm quite like robotic at times. Like I feel like if I ever did something where I was like, oh, maybe I've upset Batch, or maybe I've said something, or maybe I haven't checked in a while. I have quite a strong desire to ask that, and like I don't think it would necessarily bum me out if you were like, oh, I feel like you're not putting in as much effort as a friend. I'd be like, I'm glad to know that, and now I know that like obviously want us to be friends. I'm happy to like put in more. That's
true.
There's nothing stop. I guess you're a human, so you can just be like, oh, I kind of don't want to hear it if it is potentially the bad thing.
That's it. And although I'm not the sort of person to have a conversation about it, it's probably better to have a conversation about it, So I wouldn't take it as like, oh, just because I personally would sit back and just see what they do. That's not necessarily the right thing to do. It's just because I prioritize not having any conflict in my life. So even a difficult conversation I try and avoid. But producers have made a good point that it's also worth establishing that if a person is struggling, sometimes they could be isolated, or they isolate themselves when they're feeling anxious or depressed.
That's so true.
And sometimes you could feel like it's a personal attack on you, but it's actually just about the person. They're not in the right mental state. So maybe just say, are you all right? How you doing lately? Maybe that's why they're flaking out on plans, because they're just not feeling it.
Because even then, like that, again, like that's why the communication thing can help so much, because they might be like wanting to hang out with you on that Saturday, but being like, I'm not in my mental health is in such a way where I feel like I can't get out of bed today, but I want to rearrange. And then they're already feeling a bit shit about themselves. And then when they're rearranging, going like, oh, can we do Tuesday instead? And they're getting back a K. Then they're going like, oh, like they probably already could feel really bad about themselves, going like, I didn't want to flake, but I can't really help it. Like I already feel shit about myself. And the dry stuff like back can make them feel even worse. And just being like, hey, like this is what's up, like, what's going on, could be an opportunity for them to bring up something like that. Maybe even just adding an extra one, being like, by the way, because that's the thing, like everyone's human, everyone makes mistakes, like no one's perfect with each other. You can't always read what someone else is thinking or what they want, or like all that kind of stuff. So like I feel like just constant communication helps so much, because you can constantly just do what's best for both of you.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I think it's hard to think of a scenario where you can go like, what is the reason for this, and it not work out in a way where you go like, oh, let's try and manage a better time, or plan more in advance, or whatever it is, or like, okay, maybe I'll come visit you and help look after you if you're not feeling great. Like, can I bring you some sweets and we can watch a movie, or play Fortnite or Minecraft?
Minecraft. Oh, is that a hint because you want to do Minecraft again?
Yep.
I had a great idea for a Minecraft video, actually.
Finally!
And I'm not going to say, I'll tell you off camera. I think this is the comeback for Minecraft.
Good. Oh, did you feel like you needed a reason for it not to just be like a ticking over episode 5, like a big...
Yeah. Because also at that point, like, if I make it just a constant series, I'm just constantly saying to you, oh, can we film Minecraft this week? Can we film Minecraft this week? Can we film Minecraft this week? And at that point, it's like...
I don't mind. I could play Minecraft every week.
No, please. I want to play Minecraft every week.
No, I do know what you mean, especially...
To what end? Because realistically, we're not going to get to the end and kill the dragon.
No, never. But I don't think people will complain if we're still 80 years old and playing Minecraft. Yeah, that is true. I do wonder, did you ever watch PewDiePie's series on it? When
I did, 30? Yeah.
And he had the dog. What was his dog called?
I was about to say Felix, but it was kind of like Björn or something.
Bjorn?
What, Björn?
No, isn't that his son's name?
It
was
Minecraft. It was like kind of Sven. It was like that.
Yeah.
Sven.
And he had Sven, and it died, and there was so many ups and downs and crazy thing that happened. I wonder whether he had a team that was like, let's build a great storyline.
It was he did,
and then
didn't
flesh it out. Oh, I don't know. I only watched the videos. I'm not aware either.
Yeah, I think it was all planned.
It would make so much sense and I think that's good. That's something I would want to do, where I'd be like, I want to make a little 5-10 episode series where it's like either challenges where like each video, like we've got to do something, or there's like a race or something, or it's like here's a storyline and we're going to go through it, but like not tell you George, Arthur, Chris, whatever, and get you guys in from time to time where it's like this crazy thing would happen.
Yeah.
Or something.
Because the thing is, I would love to do like the Minecraft series with everyone, but then if I'm locking everyone in to film like 100 episodes of Minecraft, it becomes a bit unfair. So it's like you've got to find a way of doing it without like, because then I just own all of that content, and obviously that's a gold mine. It's just like it's not the best way to do it.
Yeah,
but,
and as well, like because at the moment I'm wanting to do a lot of big videos, but I'm like, I know the second that I grab 6 of you, that editor's going to take a week or 2 on that, and it's like my other uploads aren't going to go. So kind of tough juggling it all. Like how the hell are you going to edit a 6-man Minecraft video? Like you need someone with a WAM PC for that. Yeah,
I think what I might do is just maybe restart the series solo, and then just get friends in for episodes here and there.
Yeah, I think that's like the way to do it. Like an episode with me, an episode with George, episode with Chris.
But I've got the perfect comeback that is not related to a Minecraft series, but it's
finally,
a Minecraft video.
because I also get bombarded with it.
Yeah.
And horror games. The other day we were like, we need to pick some time. Yeah. And now I'm going to, when this episode comes out, I'll probably be back. But I'm going to Dubai to shoot a bunch of videos with Theo and Reeve.
Yeah. So we may never see you again.
So we're never going to do we'll get some locked in. Especially given the one that everyone wants us to play is like a 10-minute game and it's absolutely terrifying. We'll find a time.
We can't find time for it, guys. We can't.
But yeah.
But after the death of Blood Clot, just put me off the series.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's why.
Well, if you haven't seen them already, go watch it. Go watch the 4 episodes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen them, by the way, the like return rate. You know, you get the like average returning viewers or whatever it is, where you get like the number of times people have watched that video. Yeah. Usually in my videos, it's like a 1.2. Like sometimes people come back and rewatch, maybe they'll re-binge.
Yeah.
The Dress to Impress videos, the horror games with you, they're all like 2.5.
I think it makes sense because it's more of a story rather than our reactions videos are reactions. So you wouldn't watch a reaction again, but you'd watch a story again. Yeah. So it makes sense.
There's something cozier, I guess, about the like multi-people videos where it's like they're playing games.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So we'll get on board with that.
Anyway, yeah, more content to come, including Minecraft.
And we got to film our first mukbang on this table. So.
Oh yeah, we're gonna film a mukbang. Oh, let us know what cuisine you want us to try. What kind of mukbang you want to do?
Yeah,
want us to do.
That's right.
Because we'll do it for an early access on Patreon. They'll have it for like a month, and then we'll publish it.
Maybe we do a freeze-dried mukbang for.
Oh, that could be cool. This is making me so hungry.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, fine. We're getting fed.
But yeah, let us know what you think of the idea of us doing a little bit of each type of segment every episode. What else? Check in on your friends. Communicate with people around you. It's great for your relationships. And check in on everyone. Make sure they're okay.
And check in on everyone.
Yeah, and check in on Zeno's Paradox.
And check in on that subscribe button.
And keep your fingers out of aquariums with shark tanks in them.
Yeah, and keep your fingers on the subscribe button instead because it's safer. Ain't that right?
Ain't that right? On that note, make sure you're subscribed, rate us 5 stars on audio platforms, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.